Hi there. Welcome to this episode of Health University. And it's going to be just us talking again today. And today we're going to talk about labs. What labs are important for ascertaining your whole health and your fertile health so that you can not only get pregnant, but stay pregnant and carry a healthy baby to term. In the world of IVF, there are certain labs that are kind of standard, and they include things like an AMH, an anti-Mullerian hormone, an anti-male hormone that really helps indicate what is the quantity, the presumed quantity of your eggs remaining, and therefore what is the quality that's inferred from the quantity. They'll also test sometimes an FSH and an estradiol on cycle day 2 or 3. I like to test that because I think it's a good comparison to the AMH. And also just really helps us know that estrogen has cleared at the beginning of the cycle. We really want that estrogen to not be hanging around and interrupting the proper communications of our pituitary that signals stimulating hormones. At the luteal phase, after ovulation, they will often test progesterone levels. And if they're wise, which what I'd like to do is test estrogen at that level as well, at that point in time as well. Because what happens here is that we ovulate, and then the egg that comes out of the follicle transforms into what's called the corpus luteum, and that corpus luteum secretes progesterone. The progesterone holds that uterine lining intact, whereas the estrogen that has been growing since the beginning of the follicles growing is secreting estrogen to grow the uterine lining. Progesterone is what will hold the uterine lining intact and secrete nutrients for an implanting embryo. So we want to make sure that that estrogen is ample, because if it's not, then it does infer, not confirm, but infer that that egg might not have been as viable as was ideal. But as I say, it infers, it doesn't confirm. And so I often like to see if there's no other reason or known issue at play, to just give a little bit of extra progesterone for that a 2 week wait, so that we can make sure that we've got ample progesterone. Of course, this is if progesterone is low. If progesterone is fine, then we do nothing. We know that was a viable egg that was ovulated, and hopefully conception occurred, or will, if it's an egg retrieval that's happening, then we know that that egg can be made into a healthy embryo in vitro. The other test that they'll often test is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. And this again tests the pituitary, not the thyroid itself, but the pituitary, as to how hard is it having to work to stimulate thyroid production, because thyroid, as our metabolic hormone, is important to be stable during pregnancy. If it drops too low, we don't have the metabolic activity available to help that embryo grow, and we will sometimes lose a pregnancy. In addition to these tests, there are a few that I like to test as well. For thyroid, I actually like to just go back and test not only TSH, but also the inactive thyroid that's circulating in the bloodstream, called T4, that converts to active thyroid, T3. And I also like to test thyroid antibodies, thyroglobulin antibodies, and thyroid peroxidase, TPO antibodies, because you can get a TSH that is normal in that one snapshot of a blood draw, but you could miss kind of a behind the scenes issue taking place with the thyroid that could be implicated in a pregnancy loss. I also like to test vitamin D. I think this is so important. We are, as a society, chronically low in vitamin D. And because low vitamin D, which is, by the way, not a vitamin, it's a precursor hormone, is important for sustaining pregnancy and for getting pregnant, I want to make sure that those levels are ample. I think a therapeutic value is about a 70. The range is 30 to 100. And so if you're down in the low 30s, or heaven forbid, lower than 30, you need to get some vitamin D, and straight away. And from, really front-loading supplement vitamin D, a good quality vitamin D3 plus K2, and getting out into the sun to see if you can help your own body synthesize some good vitamin D. But that also requires that you have a healthy microbiome, because that is what is producing vitamin D in the gut. And that will be another conversation. But vitamin D is important. A full thyroid panel is important. Also iron and ferritin and B12. B12, especially if somebody is more of a plant-based diet person, because again, these are indications of potential anemia. And anemia, if it gets too grave, is going to be another cause for pregnancy loss. Thank you for listening to this episode of Health University. We always strive to find ways to improve our support of you. Please connect with us for a fertility assessment call at the link below, healthuniversity.co, note not .com, /your-fertile-health-call. We'd love to learn a bit about you and share our resources. Now, let's resume our conversation in today's episode. So we want to have all of these in place for the positive pregnancy test, but when we think about it, we want to have it in place for conception as well, because if they're important to sustain a pregnancy, they're important to make a healthy egg and therefore a healthy embryo, fetus, baby, and healthy pregnancy. So consider getting these tests if you're in California, and if you participate in my course, the Preconception Perfected Plan, or Plan Perfected at Health University. The link is below. Then I can help with it. We can do a video call and I can get those labs ordered for you. Or if you're outside the state of California, there is a company that I partner with that will be able to do this for you as well. So I can direct you to Rupa is the name of the company, so that they can order. I've curated the right labs for you through my portal at Rupa. So, okay, so that's the conversation about labs, or at least the beginning of the conversation about labs. And I think that this is important. I hope that you find value in it as well. And if not for yourself, but for someone you love or know who is between the ages, for labs, I'm actually going to say 27, 28, all the way up to 45. Let's get those labs done. Certainly if you're actively trying to conceive or actively undergoing an egg freezing or an embryo, an IVF cycle, it's imperative, in my opinion. But if you're thinking that you might want to have children in the future, if you just want to have good fertile health, good reproductive health, let's get those labs done earlier so that we can get a baseline. Ask your OBGYN, or here again, you can ask me to get those labs done so you know where you stand, because so often, by the time a couple is trying to conceive, that's when they get the bad news that their labs are showing, markers that are problematic, and it holds up the process when they really wanted to get pregnant yesterday. So share this with friends, family members, coworkers. Share it with your corporate wellness executive so that they can put this into their benefits package as well, because really we know that IVF and egg freezing is time consuming. It is intensive on the body. It takes us away from our work. It can also take us away from our social life, because we're really so focused, and sometimes regrettably, even though it's so common, 1 in 6, we can find ourselves sort of, kind of keeping it to ourselves, feeling shamed for our struggle, and really we deserve, and we need and deserve the help. This is an epidemic, if you will, that really requires that we all work together. So share, comment, subscribe, and we look forward to helping you through the Health University Preconception Plan course. There's more about the course in a previous episode. I'll let you review that. It's a short one, so I won't belabor that one here. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for joining us today here at Health University. If you want more episodes like this at Health University, you can find them wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you never miss an episode. If you have any thoughts or questions, please drop a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you at our next episode of Health University. But for now, class dismissed.